Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public service announcement. For regular viewers and listeners of AWI Pod, please do not be offended, because this program contains good wrestling.
It's my life in the box in front of me. Taking talk in my arms is the soul of me. You walk by, ask to see me lay face down. Come and find the sword in your heart.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 27th edition of War into Attitude. I am your host, Brent Piles, and with me, as always, as I war through the attitude of the year 1997 in the WWF, he is from the across the ocean and from the future. He is the ballroom brawling, disco dancing, dynamite stretching, intercontinental playboy. Folks, he's more over than Jerry Lawler is in Evansville, Indiana. Probably not, but still. At G. Russell, not Glenn Abbott. Glenn, how you doing?
Probably not. I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, wasn't he over in this one?
I was going to say, you'll learn as we go into this episode where I get that from. But yeah, Jerry Lawler's very over in Evansville. Which I guess that was an old stomping grounds of the USWA / Continental Wrestling Association. And that's why he's so beloved in the Evansville, Indiana area.
It must be, because Jesus.
Yeah, to say that I was surprised during that match would be an understatement.
He basically had to go at everybody. and still they loved him.
Yeah, they still didn't give a shit. They didn't give a damn what he said bad about them. They still loved him. It's usually a point where we talk about sports. Actually, usually we talk about a little bit of sporting action before we get into everything here. And our team managed to pick up 3 points this weekend, didn't they, Glenn?
They certainly did. It should have been 2-0. It's one of the ex-referees that studies all the VAR and everything has basically said that the goal should, if the goal had stood, Everton couldn't have had any complaints. So it should have been 2-0. But like I said, we got away with one with Manchester United, so it swings and roundabouts, and they still won. So
yeah, they still managed to put it away in the end there.
I've never realised that there's the first time in 8 seasons that they've actually beat Everton in Everton.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose when they played Everton last year, it probably was at Arsenal's stadium, right?
Every time they play them at the Emirates, or when they used to play them at Highbury, they'd beat them 3 or 4-0, no problem. Yeah. But you just had problems beating them there.
Because Everton's they're a decent team, but they're not usually one of the top tier teams. They're usually middle of the pack, aren't they?
Yeah, they're normally what we call mid-table mediocrity. But the last couple of seasons, they've really been struggling and stayed up in the Premiership by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, they barely stayed up last season, right? And this season's not looking very good for them either. So
no, a start without a win, not a good start.
Definitely. And so then we also got the Champions League, which is kicking off on Wednesday, I believe, correct?
Well, it kicks off tomorrow strictly, but for Arsenal, it kicks off on Wednesday, yeah.
And of course, they play at 2:00, which is right around my pick up my son from school period, so I may miss it.
Yes, of course it would be.
But the good thing is, Glenn, they have all of the Champions League games on the Peacock. On Paramount Plus app here in the States. And so I will still be able to go back and watch it later, provided that I can stay away from any spoilers.
Right. Oh, that's good then.
Maybe, Glenn. Maybe. The likelihood of me venturing not seeing spoilers isn't very good.
Just stay off the X. That's just avoid spoilers.
Well, I started following the Arsenal accounts on Twitter too, and maybe I mean not Twitter, on Instagram too. So maybe that's where I might see it. So maybe I should mute those.
Well, they don't. With that, they don't sort of do things instantly. You might find out 2 hours later that they've scored a goal.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need to worry about that too much.
Okay. I've been kind of staying off the X already, so that shouldn't be too hard for me. That shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah. With Instagram, it's like the Arsenal account on Instagram were just putting up pictures from yesterday's game today.
Oh, okay. Well, then I should be okay then, Glenn.
Yeah, you don't exactly get it live.
I should be okay then. Well, I certainly don't want to talk about the NFL, so we're gonna skip that subject.
England won in the Rugby World Cup again.
Against
Beat
Japan?
Yes, beat Japan. That's Argentina and Japan have seen off now, which is a miracle in itself.
I mean, is cricket a big game over in Argentina?
Rugby.
That's what I meant. I don't know why I said cricket. Rugby, I guess. Yeah.
Rugby is, yes. It's their second sport to soccer.
That makes sense. So I don't know why I was thinking cricket, and I was thinking I don't feel like they play a lot of cricket in Argentina, but yeah, rugby sounds more up their alley. Rugby definitely sounds more up their alley. All right, well then since we're not going to talk about football, we covered as much rugby as I'm ever going to understand. We're going to review this episode of Monday Night Raw that emanated on May the 26th, 1997, which was my 13th birthday, Glenn. I turned 13 years old. I became a teenager on this day.
Happy birthday to you.
I'd be 13. Yeah, I had a hell of a birthday present at the end of this show. That was for sure. We'll talk about what happened in the main event, but I was very excited about that.
Yep.
As a newly formed teenager in the world. We are at the Roberts Municipal Stadium in Evansville, Indiana. This building has only ever held superstar tapings and a couple of Raws, and the very last wrestling show that I had at this arena was a WCW Thunder in January of 2000, Glenn. And Glenn, we might have a look at this episode of Thunder someday because the main event sees our old pal Psycho Sid, the man of the millennium at this time, Sid Vicious, teaming with old baked potato face himself, Lex Luger, to battle Harlem Heat 2000, which is Booker T and Big T. Do you know who Big T is?
No.
I'm going to give you a hint, Glenn. He wrestles with a whole lot of fucking knee pads all over his legs.
I can't think. Who
You're
is it?
going down, Glenn. You're going down. Who do you think it is? If I said you're going down a bunch of times.
I still don't know. I'll give
It's
it.
Ahmed Johnson, of course. Is Big
What
T.
is it? Oh, right.
Yeah. So that was the main event of that show. So I'm sure at one point that sounds right up our alley, pal. So
Yeah.
This building was also torn down in 2013, so you can't go see anything at this fucking show, not even Jerry the King of Lawler match, because this shit's gone. So.
Oh, well. I'm not surprised. They probably fumigated it as many times as they could, and they decided they had to burn it down.
They said, forget it, yeah. They said, forget it. So tonight's a big night because we're going to get a tag team title match in the main event. It is Stone Cold Steve Austin teaming with his very best friend in the entire world. They really get along well. Shawn Michaels to take on Owen Hart and the British Bulldog for the tag team titles. And we're going to find out the Undertaker's secret, or he's going to get back with Paul Bearer. One or the other is going to happen tonight, Glenn.
Yeah, well, we know what happens.
A lot's going down here on May 26th.
It certainly is.
Of course, we start the show with Austin hitting the ring, and then he's immediately followed by Shawn Michaels. And we're going to take a drink every single time that they mention to us that Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels are reluctant tag team partners, because they mention it a lot. We're going to drink water because it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon my time. If you're out there drinking a beer, Rob, I'm talking to you. Go ahead and have a swig. So yeah, they argue a little bit back and forth about who's the captain of the team, and then they both agree that tonight they are going to come together to kick the Hart's asses and take the tag team titles. LOD then comes down to the ring as they want their title shot if Austin and Shawn Michaels win, because I think they already have a title match lined up at King of the Ring, don't they?
They do.
And of course, Shawn Michaels says that's fine, but Stone Cold Steve Austin doesn't look too thrilled about the prospect of the idea.
Well, neither would I be.
Yeah, no, I'd be like, what do you? You can agree to fight them motherfuckers yourself, but don't throw me into this.
Yeah.
And then the Harts come down to the ring, Glenn, and Bret Hart is without crutches and without a wheelchair, so that's something.
Yeah.
He's magically healed, Glenn.
Well, we knew that.
Must have been the healing powers of the Evansville, Indiana faithful. Must have been.
Yeah, it must have been.
And so then, like, they get into like a little bit of a back and forth fight, and then like Austin is fighting with Neidhart outside the ring. Shawn Michaels tries to do like a bait. Oh no, it happens after the match, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. So this all happens. So they go to break and they come back, and basically, Jim Neidhart and Pillman are going to be taking on the Legion of Doom in a tag team match.
Yeah. Hence the reason that they were all out there.
Right. Otherwise, it would have been a waste of time while they all came out there, because it was like they were all out there, and then like their music hit, and then like the referees came out there and made them go back to the back, and then we came back from commercial, and their music hit, and they came out again. I was like, well, what'd they leave for?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Well, what'd they leave for?
Just so they can have an entrance.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So this is actually Pillman's first match in well over a year after coming back from his ankle injury. Of course, Jim Ross tells us all about how Jim Neidhart went to the UCLA and he was on the track and field team. He did the shot put. I heard a hilarious story about Jim Neidhart in college where they were staying in a hotel overnight. He got himself all jacked up on amphetamines, and he used the sheets in his hotel room to fashion a rope, and then he strapped a fire extinguisher to his back, and then used said rope to swing from one balcony to the other in the hotel. I don't know if that's true, but I hope it is.
Yeah. I like the idea of having a fire extinguisher strapped to his back as well.
Yeah, at that point, like I guess maybe for effect to make it look like you were like smoke was bellowing out of you as you were flying, but otherwise, I don't know what the reason for that would be.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, what he used to strap it to his back with. Did he tie it with more bed sheets?
Either that belts or whatever.
Who knows? Who knows? Who fucking knows? The same belts he was using to tie off his arms to shoot the amphetamines into his veins, probably. Probably what happened. So yeah, I don't know, a back and forth match here. Not a whole lot to note. Yeah, I don't know. This match wasn't really anything. You have any notes on the match?
Not really. This is just a typical Pillman and Neidhart hitting Animal and Hulk not selling it.
Yeah, basically. When Glenn subbed up this match and that sentence just right there. LOD look like they're going to hit their finisher, but of course, Owen Hart and Bulldog hit the ring and they start beating up LOD. Then that brings Austin and Michaels back out to clear the ring. Neidhart and Austin are fighting on the outside. This is when Shawn Michaels tries to do like a baseball slide to Neidhart, but he misses and hits Austin instead. And then, of course, they start fighting each other. And then it takes a whole mess of people to get them apart. My funny favorite part about this is the entire time all this is happening, the crowd is just chanting LOD.
They should have just had the brawl and not bothered with the match. It would have suited Brian Pillman a lot more if they just brawled for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it certainly didn't do them any favors. And this being his first match back, you'd think they want to give him a little bit more, you know.
Well, yeah, but you're not going to get it from LOD, are you? It's exactly that. You know, somebody has been out for a year. The first match back, it should be against LOD that are not going to sell anything.
Yeah, no, definitely not. He drew the short end of the stick on that one. And then we got another one of these.
The show, Sonny Squirts.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't Google that.
Please don't.
You don't
There's a
want to know what rock you will uncover.
There's some nasty stuff out there with her, I tell you.
So this time her victim is the honky tonk man who she sprays with the super soaker this time.
So, for once, she's the hero of the hour. Because we only get the honky tonk man for a couple of seconds and she's covered in with water. Excellent.
Yeah, for the one time Sonny has done something positive.
Yeah, exactly.
Finally, we're going to give her a sliver of credit.
And the little bit with this JR or the kid going through the script. So look, was that a honky tonk man washing down the corridor?
Oh yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah. We then see Paul Bearer, and he's like looking at his watch, indicating that the clock is ticking for the Undertaker. And because Glenn, we're wrestling fans and we can't remember shit, we got to have an update of what just happened 4 minutes ago between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, the Super Soda. Oh no, that wasn't the Super Soda rewind. That comes in a little bit, but yeah, there's so much of that in these shows.
Yeah,
where they think we're goldfish. I can't remember what happened 2 minutes earlier.
And in fairness, they still do it to this day. Something will happen in the opening segment. They'll go to commercial. They'll come back and they'll show me exactly what I just saw.
Yeah. The thing with Paul Bearer here as well is, he's back to only not having the full mummy mask, just the padding down the side. But it's still the same padding with still the same mark on it. You would have thought it would have healed a bit by now.
Yeah, it looks like he was spilling coffee on it or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't find his mouth.
Like, if it's still got shit coming out of it, Paul Bearer, it's been like 2 months. So this is probably infected. You should probably go see a doctor.
Yeah, that's right. It's probably why his hair's gone brown as well.
Yeah, because he's got MRSA.
Yeah.
So they let us know that the King will be taking on Goldust in a King of the Ring first round matchup. And just because I wanted to know, Glenn, I went back and looked at the match listings for Jerry the King Lawler in 1997 just to see how many television matches he had on WWF TV that would warrant him to be in the fucking King of the Ring tournament. And Glenn, do you want to guess how many matches he's had on WWF TV this year in 1997?
1.
The only TV participation that he had in a match this year was the 4 seconds that he was in the Royal Rumble. That's it.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that justifies it then.
So he should absolutely be qualified for the King of the Ring tournament, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that makes perfect fucking sense to me.
This roster, we don't realize it. We never realized it at the time. But this roster is really shallow, isn't it? Really.
It really is. Because if you think about it, we don't see very many new faces. It's mostly the same people every single week.
Yeah, and it's always the same matchups every single week.
Yep, it's always a lot of the same finishes every single week. Yeah,
they were lucky this week. They got lucky that Jim Neidhart and Brian Pillman have come back to help out Bret Hart. That they actually were able to throw together a different tag team to come up against LOD.
Yeah, they were running out of bodies.
And then, of course, well, we'll get to it in a bit, but they compensate the headbangers later on.
Oh, yeah.
Him against LOD.
Yeah. We then hear some more from Paul Bearer. He's kind of going over, the time has come, dead man, and I'm going to release the secret that's been burning inside of me for as long as my burning desires have been devoured. And then after that, I'm going to go to the doctor because there's something wrong with my wings.
But he doesn't sound like that anymore. He made a point of he doesn't sound like that anymore. He doesn't look like that. He doesn't sound like that.
They burned it out of him, I guess.
They burnt all the black out of his hair. They burnt all the white off his. He's got a tan now because they burnt all the white off of his face.
Just what he needed was a tan, anyway.
Anyway, Next, we get D'Lo Brown's in-ring debut after weeks and weeks and weeks of standing around and being part of the mob that beat up people for the Nation of Domination.
And so, like, when he first came out, I was like, oh, he's got, like, wrestling gear. Because, like, I didn't think nothing of it. I thought, obviously, this would be Crusher Savio, right? That's what I'm thinking.
And that's what it always is.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what it always is. But then with they're like, oh, D'Lo Brown. I'm like, oh, holy shit, we're going to get D'Lo's debut match. That's pretty fucking cool. So Bob Holly is going to be the opponent for old D'Lo Brown. Bob Holly, who just came off his big win against Owen Hart last week, and now he's going to be stuck in this match with D'Lo.
They get beaten up by the Legion of Doom. Not Legion of Doom, the Nation of Domination.
Yeah.
Just
wait.
waiting.
After last week, Bob would be looking for a little revenge on the Harts because they kicked his ass, but I guess not.
No. Well, let's go for the other big faction, shall we?
Yeah, Bob Holly. I want at least 6 guys to beat me up.
Yeah. I had 4 last week. I'll have 6 this week.
Yeah, why not? I like to get beat up, sure. Fruit gets on the commentary team, and he also sends the rest of the nation back to the back. So Crushing Salvio, he says, "Get out of here, you losers." You can definitely sense some tension amongst those guys now.
Yeah, well, Fruit ain't helping. I'm not going to go into what he said. It made me feel that uncomfortable that I muted it. Just watched the match without commentary.
Yeah, so my notes in this was like, it's a decent match, but nobody cared, including commentary. The fans didn't care. Nobody gave a shit. D'Lo Brown gets his first win using like a sit-down power bomb. I think that D'Lo guy's got something, Glenn. How about you?
Yeah. I'll be amazed if he keeps that finisher, though. Perhaps a frog splash or something might do the job better.
A frog splash might suit him. I think you're right. I think he should get a vest first. He should get a vest to protect his stardom for many months, and then he should start doing a frog splash. Mm-hmm. I also noticed that like a fan in the crowd had a sign that said Bret Hart sucks. And how come after all the years that wrestling fans have seen the name Bret Hart spelled, can we not get it right? There's only one fucking T in Bret Hart. It's not 2 T's. It's just one. What's wrong with you people?
That was only that was deliberately done, so they knew that it wasn't part of his family that was saying that.
I guess so. But yeah, every time I see a Bret Hart sign in the 90s, it always has 2 T's. It's like, no, goddamn it, there's only 1 T. We didn't hear from the Undertaker, and I used the term hear from him lightly because we couldn't hear shit.
Yeah, you don't hear a thing. He just mouths a lot.
Yeah, and so then they kind of cut away, they do something else, but then they come back to the Undertaker and they ask him about Farouk, and he's like, forget about Farouk. I got 2 weeks to worry about Farouk, but right now I've got 1 hour to make a decision that could affect the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, very ominous stuff here. Very ominous stuff.
Very ominous. Very, very.
So then we get an interview with Jerry the King Lawler about Goldust. He said some things that I will not repeat, but then he also said that he said things about Dusty Rhodes. He also said some bad things about Goldust's wife and Goldust's daughter. And then we got an ad trying to sell a King of the Ring inflatable chair, Glenn, and they wanted $60 fucking for this thing.
I love the way that they bring out Sable to advertise it, to take away the shock of it being $60 for an inflatable chair.
Like, it better come with it filled with Sable's breath if it fucking is $60.
It better come filled with Sable for $60.
That's what I said. I said if it had come with Sable, maybe it'd be worth $60, but it ain't worth $60 now.
Oh.
Like, that's ridiculous in 2023 prices. I'm like, $60 fucking dollars for a plastic chair that you're gonna blow up? Like, I have asthma. I can't even blow that fucking thing up. Fuck you.
Yeah, you wouldn't, would you? You wouldn't buy it even now for that sort of money.
Hell hell no. God damn. I was
What?
so mad, Glenn, about that chair. I was so pissed. I'm in my living room just pissed about the price of an inflatable chair in 1997.
Mind you, you know, they've always been really expensive with their merch, WWF and WWE. The first house show that I went to, they were selling, the foam hands.
Yeah.
They were like 20 quid, which is about $25 back then.
Yeah.
Ridiculous money for a lump of foam.
They'd want like $55 for one of those fucking things nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a wrestling show when I was a kid, and I just wanted one of those Macho Man like do-rag, like Macho Man bandanas that he would wear. Yeah, I think it was like $14, and we're talking. This is like 1991. My dad was like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, I don't even like this little motherfucker." So, we get our King of the Ring it's King of the Ring first round matchup between Goldust and Jerry Lawler. As we said, Jerry Lawler has no business being in this tournament, but he's in it. And good Lord, the fans loved Jerry Lawler. They were popping for everything he did.
I know. And he's tried to do everything to create heat before that. He was saying that Goldust's daughter, Dakota, should have been called Target.
Yeah, because everybody had a chance.
Yeah, everybody's had a shot or something. It was
Something like that.
Anyway, and they still cheering him to the rafters.
Yeah, no, they did not fucking care. Lawler hit a pile driver, but he didn't go for a pin, which was weird. And then Goldust did the exact same. But if you had to rate those pile drivers, who did a better pile driver in this match, Lawler or Goldust?
Oh, it was close. Jerry, when he was back in the day, he had a really good pile driver, but by this time he could barely get anybody up.
Yeah.
He was sort of just flipping them over and dropping them on their head.
And the funny thing is, Jerry Lawler probably 2 years ago was still giving people pile drivers.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to feel sorry. I don't know who poor old Dustin upset and whether they were taking it out on him that they couldn't get Dusty out of his WCW contract at that time, because he did all those things with the shoot interview.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that long ago he was sort of headlining, and now he's up against Jerry Lawler and having to do a job for him.
Yeah, not only up against Jerry Lawler, but losing to Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
And it's like they were trying to get the sympathy for him with the whole, shoot style interview with bringing his daughter out. And like, I realized, so the King wins this match. He kind of gets Goldust in the corner, puts his legs up on the ropes, rolls Goldust up for a 3 count. But I just don't understand the booking of him as far as what he's doing in the ring if you're trying to gain sympathy, because you're not going to get any sympathy for him. And this, I mean, the crowd loved Lawler and didn't give a fuck about Goldust. If anything, they're killing him.
Yeah. Yeah. This was just a disaster. This whole match, and it seemed to go on forever as well.
Very slow paced. Yeah, so like they go to the outside. Marlena ends up smacking the King in the face. That's when King gets in the ring. He takes Goldust down and pins him with his feet on the ropes. And the King's like up on the ramp. Goldust chases him down, starts beating him up. The fun part was when he threw him down the ramp and the King rolled all the way down the ramp. That was pretty cool.
It was the best bit of the match. And then Marlena just walk. Mind you, at that time, I bet there would be probably still are, quite a few blokes that paid good money to have Terry Runnels stand on them in high heels.
Yeah. A lot of weird people out there. She kind of just steps over the King, putting her heels right into his big fat gut. I don't trust Jerry the King Lawler. I'll tell you why. He's like, I don't trust people who've never, ever, ever had a drink of alcohol. Like, I get like you don't like to drink, whatever, but if you've never even tried it, I think you're up to something. Something's up with you. I think you're up to something. I'm not saying everybody has to be an alcoholic, but to say you've never at least took a sip of alcohol, you're up to something.
Yeah.
I don't trust you.
Let me just keep talking for a sec. I won't be a sec.
Okay, you're cool. I'll just hit the pause button, Glenn.
Okay,
All right. Then we go to an interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin. They're asking him about his chances at winning this tag team titles with Shawn Michaels tonight. And while that's happening, Brian Pillman attacks him from behind. Eventually, Owen, Hart, and Bulldog join in as they beat Austin up. Some officials finally come in to break them up. And then we go to a commercial break. We come back, and we see Mr. Flash Funk on his way to the ring, but they also show Austin walking into a separate dressing room where it looks like the Harts have also attacked Shawn Michaels, and then, Shawn Michaels and Austin start arguing with each other because that's what you would do if another group of men beat you both up. I'd probably go like, hey, let's go find them, but whatever.
No, they're too busy fighting each other.
Yeah. So then, it's Rocky Maivia makes his way out of the ring. He's going to be taking on Flash Funk. There's a couple of booking decisions on this show that I don't understand, and this is one of them.
Well, this is the whole thing, really. This is another dud.
Just a weird face versus face match. Like, I don't know, why. I just don't get why they even.
No. It just seems like I say, it just seems like the roster is so shallow at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know who they're missing. Well, we know they're missing Sid. He's out injured. But who else went over to WCW at that time that they should have held on to?
I can't really think of anybody off the top of my head in 97, really. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so weird face versus face match. The Headbangers make their way through the crowd during this. They've got these fancy King of the Ring chairs that I was talking about. They're way overpriced.
At least they could afford them.
At least they can what?
At least they could afford them.
Well, they probably, yeah. I mean, they got their $75 for the night, and they decided to buy chairs with them. Yeah, they get on commentary, and then so this is all just a bunch of bullshit. I don't understand why any of this happened.
Nope.
Other than trying to hawk these fucking chairs. I don't know why the Headbangers came down here. They eventually decided to just start beating up both guys. They hit Flash Funk in the head with a boombox. I don't know why it wasn't a disqualification. I don't know why this whole thing didn't get thrown out.
No. Because they had to keep on plugging the chair.
I fucking guess. Or boomboxes. Are they going to start selling WWF boomboxes next to come with the chair?
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, so then The Rock hits a crossbody block from the top rope for the win. I'm not really sure how, like I said, don't know how this wasn't a DQ. But yeah, Rocky Maivia with a big win here on Monday Night Raw. Yay.
Flying body press of doom. I'm glad that was a short-lived finisher.
Yeah, that's interesting. He should have just used that rock bottom thing he's been doing. He should just go with that.
Yeah.
They also let us know that we will also be getting part 2 of the interview with Mankind this evening. So that's something to look forward to. And then we get the Slam of the Week, Glenn. I think it's the Super Soaker Slam of the Week. But luckily, it wasn't something we saw 10 minutes ago, Glenn. It was Brian Pillman beating up some poor jobber. We didn't hear from Bret Hart about his match with Shawn Michaels at King of the Ring. He basically says beating Shawn Michaels in 10 minutes won't be a problem. And if he doesn't, he'll never wrestle in the United States again. And then he tells us that then Pillman gets on the mic, tells us he hates Stone Cold Steve Austin. He will take him down at King of the Ring. Owen Hart and the Bulldog can say they're going to take down Austin and HBK tonight because they are too busy fighting with themselves to be able to wrestle us. So Austin and HBK should stop beating themselves up then, I think.
I can't understand it. Why did the Hart Foundation actually bother beating them up? Just lock the pair of them in a room. They would have done the job for them.
Yeah, they got the game fucked up, don't they, Glenn?
Yeah.
They should have locked him in a bathroom. They're very fucking familiar with bathrooms.
Yeah, that's right.
The next match is Vader versus Ahmed Johnson. We also get Ken Shamrock on commentary for this thing.
Because the game, they've got nobody else.
Yeah, they had to put him somewhere. So they also tell us, like, during this that, remember, like, Vader was supposed to be in the King of the Ring tournament, but he was hurt. And so Triple H took his place. And so now Vader is going to take on Ahmed Johnson. And if Vader beats Ahmed Johnson, then Vader gets to take Ahmed Johnson's place in the King of the Ring tournament, apparently.
Yeah.
Is what happened, I guess. Ahmed Johnson is still getting a really good reaction from the crowd. Like,
He does.
Other than Austin, Shawn Michaels, and Jerry fucking Lawler, he got the biggest pop of the night.
And that's because he's been a baby face against proper heels all the time.
Yeah.
I know we went on about how long the Nation's feud with him went on, but at least it was gaining sympathy for him and the crowd are behind him.
Right. So Ahmed hits a big body slam on Vader early in this thing. They start trading punches in the corner. Vader starts really laying into Ahmed. We then see Paul Bearer in the back. He's still checking his watch, Glenn. Still checking his watch. Yeah, you got any notes from this match? It wasn't really all that of anything. It was a pretty short match.
Yeah, it was more of a bitch fight, considering it was those two. It should be two big meaty men slapping meat, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't as hard hitting as you would expect it to be.
No.
Ahmed Johnson hits a huge spine buster and gets the 3 count in the win. They're really burying Vader at this point.
Yeah, that's right. Because what was the point in that? You know, why have the stipulation that if he won, he'd get a spot at the King of the Ring tournament where you knew he weren't going to win?
Right. And I thought that, like, this would be... I thought for sure that Vader would win and get into the tournament. I'm not sure why, but I just felt like that was going to happen because it made the most sense out of them telling us that whole backstory of it. Like, why do all that and then just have him lose right away? I don't understand. They then promote the WWF Superstar line, and they're promoting. They're going to say why. They're going to tell us why Brian Pillman isn't a full member of the Hart Foundation, even though he's pretty sure he is.
Yeah.
There are problems within the Nation of Domination, and if new members of the Nation of Domination could be on the way, Glenn. So if you live in 1997, make sure you check out the Superstar line. But get your parents' permission before calling, they always say.
Right, yeah. I wonder who his new member could be.
I feel like one of them is going to be like a pimp, maybe. One of them might be a pimp. And then the other one might do a frog splash later with a vest on, something like that.
Who's daddy?
Yeah, maybe something like that. Maybe a guy whose last name used to be Maivia, but not anymore. Anyway, we then see more. We hear again from Paul Bearer and he said with just a few words he'll do. I like what they did with this. He'll do what no giant could do. I like that because they threw in there to be fight a giant. What no warrior could do, they put that in there because he fought warrior. And what no immortal could do, Hulk Hogan. He's going to bring the Undertaker to his knees, and he says, "It won't be long." Oh yes, it won't be long. And then Glenn, for some more puzzling booking, it's Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and who could he be facing? Glenn Butt.
No!
Rockabilly.
Oh, get out of
Yeah. Rockabilly. All night long. Rockabilly. Sing my song tonight. Yeah, I'll show the boys what I'm all about. Make those girls scream and shout tonight.
Don't talk to me. Oh, wait, that's not. We don't want that. Yes, it's Rockabilly. He's taking on Rockabilly. Why, Glenn? Explain to me why we're doing this.
Fills a spot in the show.
Why didn't Rockabilly face a fucking Rocky Maivia, and why didn't Triple H face Flash Funk? That would have made a lot more sense, wouldn't it have?
It certainly would have, yeah.
I'm like, why? Why Rockabilly? Why is he facing Rockabilly? They also show us videos of Triple H doing rich people shit, and they also remind us of Triple H when China made her debut at In Your House Final Four, choking the living fuck out of Marlena. Yeah, very puzzling match, and it's crazy to think that these two are going to be in one of the most iconic factions ever within like a year of this together, which is insane.
Yes. And then we get another ad for the inflatable King of the Ring chair from Sable, letting us know that it's not only $59.99, but it's £11 shipping as well.
so $71 for you to get a chair that you have to inflate yourself.
Let's a quick look at the Scott's Blog of Doom notes here, and he says it's a King of the Ring chair that would probably cost you $10 in Target.
Yeah, you could literally go to the Dollar Tree, which is a store here where everything is like a dollar or $2.
Yeah, the Poundlands, yeah.
And just write King of the Ring on it with a fucking marker if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, they also talked to the Undertaker before they showed Sable doing the chair thing, and the Undertaker kind of said, sometimes in life you have to do things you don't want to do. He then tells Paul Bearer that Paul Bearer has to do what he has to do, and the Undertaker will do what he has to do. Some more ominous stuff here. And then Glenn, we get some more of this fantastic Mick Foley interview that JR is doing, and since it's so good, I'm just gonna go ahead. What are you gonna say?
For everything that was bad about the Dustin Reynolds one, this for Mick Foley was brilliant.
Yeah, it was. And so I found it on YouTube, so I'm gonna put it up on the screen, and we're gonna watch. It's only about 5 minutes long. We're gonna just have a look at it here because this is really, really good shit. You know what I mean? So let's have a look at it here.
To belong. It was 1983. And upstate New York, with its endless rolling fields, might be a nice place for a lot of boys, but not when Jimmy Snuka and Don Morocco were in a cage in October in Madison Square Garden. That's where I wanted to be. I didn't want to ride horses along a field. I didn't want to fish for trout in a stream. I wanted to be where the blood and guts were, Jimmy. So I put out my thumb, Jimmy, and it took 16 or 17 hours, but I made my way to the garden. It took just about all the money I had in the world, but I got a front row seat. And I saw the move that would change my life. And Jimmy Snuka came off the top of the cage, and I saw people stand up. And I saw people cheer. And I know I wasn't the only person whose life was changed in that arena.
I just want to say they're cheering for a murderer.
Allegedly.
Jimmy, that I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to hear people cheer for me because of some act of bravery that I committed. I wanted to see people's emotions. I wanted to see children cry out of love for me, the things I could do inside a ring. That's my first time in Madison Square Garden, and my parents weren't there. I did it just like I've done just about everything else in my life, all by myself.
That's when Mickey Foley developed an alter ego, a superstar with the athleticism of Jimmy Snuka and the sex appeal he so desperately wanted in high school.
I made a movie when I was 18.
Oh, boy.
About myself.
Oh, not that kind of movie.
Maybe as a type of escape, where I was a wrestler. And it's strange, the first time I ever met Shawn Michaels, you know him?
Oh, yeah. Very well.
He looked at my scarred and battered body. He didn't know me, but he knew the legend of who I was before. And he said, "Is this the way you always envisioned yourself?" Looking somewhat down on me. And I said, "No, the strange thing is I always imagined myself being you." And he said, "You mean the champ?" I said, no, I mean, the girls, jewelry, the tattoos, the love. So in my movie, I was not Mick Foley. I sure as hell wasn't Mankind. I was Dude Love.
We are gonna tear this rotten apple right down to its stinking New York core. And while we're here for only one reason only. Fame, honor, fortune, glory, to destroy, and to take that WWF Championship belt, that World Wrestling Federation belt.
Okay, I want to just say that if I was Mick Foley doing this video, I would have paused it and slapped the fuck out of my annoying ass friend here. Because what is he doing? Like, Johnny, will you get the fuck out of here? I'm trying to make my video. Fuck.
Looks like a young Butch.
It does look it does look like Butch. Sorry. But every time I watch that, it drives me crazy. I'm like, fuck this guy. What the fuck is he doing?
And during the course of the movie, dating back to my experience in Madison Square Garden, I decided I was going to do something heroic. I was going to do something to make people cheer for me. So I ascended up onto my friend's roof and I dove off.
Time, love must be 50, 60, 70 feet in the air. Dude, love!
Ironically, Dude Love gave Mick Foley his first break. It became an underground hit and somehow wound up in the hands of wrestling great Dominic DeNucci. DeNucci admired Mick's guts more than his skill and took him under his wing. Every weekend for the next 2 years, Mick traveled 800 miles round trip, eating and sleeping in the back seat of his '79 Ford Fairmont, still hoping to realize his dream.
I knew I wasn't ready to be Dude Love yet. Never wanted to be Cactus Jack. I figured here is a horrible name for a horrible wrestler. And by golly, as soon as I get the ability, then I'll get that heart-shaped tattoo on my chest. I'll put those earrings in, and I'm going to get the girls. And it never really worked out that way, did it, Jimmy?
Not quite.
I guess nature didn't cooperate with me. Cactus Jack was supposed to be around for 3 months. He stayed for 11 years.
Next week, Mickey Foley becomes Cactus Jack. 11 years in a sadistic subculture of nails, barbed wire, and bombs. A lost soul still searching for a place to belong.
And I walked out the first time I saw barbed wire strung up in place of ring ropes. And I said, I'm finally home.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's good shit right there, pal. Yeah. Be interesting to hear next week about all the so like watching this as a kid, I knew nothing about barbed wire rope missing matches and exploding ring matches and bomb matches and shit. So when I saw that, I was like, what?
Yeah. So how
What now?
He's responsible with that bloody bit. That film, he's responsible for all the arseholes that came after him backyarding.
Yeah, probably. Most of them. Yeah, so looking forward to part 3. Really good stuff, part 2. I mean, that's probably one of the best like in-depth interview segments in wrestling history. Just so well done.
Yeah.
So then we get time for the big match of the night, Glenn. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels will battle Owen Hart and the British Bulldog for the tag team titles. This is actually Shawn Michaels' first match back since he lost his smile, Glenn. So the smile's back, the knee's okay, and we're ready to wrestle. Shawn Michaels hits the ring first, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin follows him out. I saw a sign in the crowd that said Shawn Michaels can die, and I thought it was a bit harsh.
Somebody didn't like him, obviously.
They hated him. The man must have slept with his girlfriend or something. I don't know, but he was not like him. He was upset with Shawn Michaels. What do you think about this one, Glenn?
It was what it was. It was all it needed to be. It started off as a brawl, which is a good thing. You know, they intercepted the Harts before they could get their crap in on them. There was all that teasing of the animosity between Austin and HBK.
Yeah.
But it was still a decent match.
And I thought Austin and Shawn Michaels functioned well as a tag team pretty much, and there wasn't a whole lot of animosity or them trying to fight with each other during the match.
No.
Which I thought was good because I thought that would have been, overkill if they were.
It is that thing of the enemy is my enemy is my friend.
Right.
So you think that they'd get on just for that next few minutes.
Yeah, so they figured out a way. Yeah, I mean, a really good back and forth tag team match. They had, Austin. They were beating down Austin for a little while. He made the hot tag to Shawn Michaels. Michaels comes in, does a lot of cool stuff. They end up cutting Shawn Michaels off. They beat him down for a while. He makes the hot tag back to Austin. I like the finish where it was kind of breaking down all the guys are in the ring. The referee's trying to just separate things. Shawn Michaels, who isn't the legal man, super kicks Bulldog, who is the legal man while the referee's not looking. Austin and pins Bulldog 1, 2, 3, and we've got new tag team champions. But they don't have time to celebrate, Glenn, because, well, at least Shawn Michaels doesn't, because the Hart Foundation immediately starts whooping his ass. And Steve Austin, being the good tag team partner that he is, just rolls out of the ring, gets his tag team belt, and gets the fuck out of there. Before Bret Hart on the ramp.
But did he? Because he attacked Bret Hart, and then the others came to save Bret Hart.
Yeah.
So he got his licks in and got them off of Shawn at the same time.
Yeah, but I don't think that was his plot when he first walked away.
No, probably not. But I'd like to think that it told that story anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, so we got new tag team champions. The unlikely pairing of Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels. They are now tag team champions. We then get a little promo from Steve Austin. They ask him about how he feels about winning the tag team titles. He's like, "Oh, I didn't feel great. I'm really glad I was out there. I did it all by myself.
Yeah.
I didn't need any help." And just as he says that, Shawn Michaels comes storming in. He's like, "How come you didn't help me when I was getting my ass kicked? And you didn't do it all yourself? And blah, blah, blah. We got a big tag team match next week, too, because as you know, they'll have to face LOD next week." So, yeah, that's kind of what happens there. They start yelling back and forth like an old married couple.
That's right. So you have this wonderful match that should have ended the show. But no, then we go on to Paul Bearer and The Undertaker.
And like this show is vivid in my memory. I remember watching it. I was at my uncle's house in Chicago. I remember sitting on the edge of this couch watching it. Because I remember I got like really hyped about something. I'm like 13. So I got really hyped about something. And I remember my aunt going like, "You take this way too seriously." And I remember thinking to her, "What the fuck do you mean I take it too seriously?" She didn't know me very well. I take everything too seriously. And I don't remember this last segment with The Undertaker. I remembered that being the main event. I remember the tag team match, and that was it. I don't remember this at all. I remember nothing of it.
It is there. I remembered it, but I didn't know it was at the end. So I remember Paul Bearer saying that he was standing over the mist-covered graves, and there was 3 graves.
Yeah. I remember that too, but I don't, like you said, I don't remember it main eventing this show. I don't remember it being the end of the show. So yeah, Paul comes out there. He's ready to tell the secret, or the Undertaker's coming home, I guess. Paul Bearer says he's been more than fair, and it's time for the dead man to make his decision. He talks about how when Brother Love brought him into the World Wrestling Federation, he didn't get him off the street. He had known the Undertaker for years. He had known the Undertaker's family for years. And as Glenn said, he starts talking about how he stood over the graves, but there weren't 2 graves. there were 3 graves, and just as he says that, the Undertaker's music hits, and the Undertaker walks to the ring the fastest you've ever seen him walk to the ring ever. He marched.
Yeah, he did.
He then tells Paul Bearer that he hates him for what he's done to him, and he hates him for what he's going to make him do tonight. The Undertaker pretty much says, look, I'm going to fucking kill you because you're not telling anybody any secret because I'm going to murder you right here, right now. And so he grabs the Undertaker by his throat. Grabs Paul Bearer by his throat. He starts choking him, Glenn.
Yeah. And then
he's choking him. But then
sinks to a knee. And that's it.
And the show goes off the air.
I've got to read you this.
Yeah.
Dave Meltzer's explanation of the angle from the Observer that week.
Oh, boy.
It's something to the effect that there were 3 graves. Actually, Bearer got that far. One for his mum, one for his dad, and the other one for him. Apparently, Papa Shango did some kind of voodoo to raise Undertaker from the dead, which will be the story to explain his return as Shango. He's said to have signed a 4-year contract and will get a mega push. Shango has been working as a manager in a strip club in Las Vegas for several years. Brian Lee was also considered for this role as a wrestler, not to manage a strip club in Vegas.
The only thing correct in that statement that he made was that the Godfather had been managing a strip club in Vegas for years.
Exactly, yeah.
And then I'm sure the week after, when he was wrong, he just said, "Oh, plans changed."
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good, Glenn. So yeah, that's where it ends. The Undertaker is back home with Paul Bearer, apparently. So that's interesting. And so next week will be the go home show before the King of the Ring pay-per-view. And we'll have apparently a tag team match between Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, and LOD. So that should be exciting. Any other notes or anything else you wanted to say from this show, Glenn, before we get out of here?
No, just that was a really good match. And it's a shame that they could have had the Undertaker a bit before
the
match.
Definitely should have done it.
To have gone off air at the end there with the match, at the end of the match, with Austin and Shawn escaping the wrath of the Hart Foundation. That would have been a good way to have gone off.
Yeah, because it almost made them winning the tag team titles feel flat. You know what I mean? It made it seem like it came off flat because they didn't get to celebrate or anything. It was just like, boom, they win the tag team titles. Boom, we're out here on to something else.
Yeah, that was it.
So I'm only going to give this show 1 thumbs up. I'm not going to give it 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up from me as well. Because the rest
really, other than the main event, nothing about it was good.
No, and Mick Foley.
And the Mick Foley stuff, but nothing else about it was good.
No.
Everything else pretty bad to mediocre.
Just filler. It was a filler to get to the main event.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Glenn, who do we need to plug before we wrap this thing up here?
I'm booking the territory with Rob and Dan, the first and last of wrestling.
They've got a Lost episode out this week.
Have they? I didn't know.
So they apparently they were going to do a thing where they had a bunch of different people come on to review a different match from, I think it was New Blood Rising.
Uh-huh.
And then they realized by the time they recorded with 3 people that the final project of the show would last 10 hours. So they just gave up on it. And now they're releasing it as a 3-parter. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Yep, DDT Wrestling with DC and Doc. I've got Andy Bang Bang Podcast, and of course, now having finished Series 4, soon they'll be putting up Series 5 of the Doctor Who podcast with Danny and Si.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you check all them out, and make sure you check out Sports Wire Radio and give our buddy, our pal Thomas Bryce a follow on Twitter, Instagram, Threads. It's Thomas Bryce 2020. It's Thomas Bryce 2017 on Twitter. On the other ones, it's 2020. And make sure you give our other podcast partner, the third member of our podcast team, the Mayor of Canton, a follow. It's at Mayor of Canton, and he does a meal with the mayor every Wednesday where he tries fast food that is delicious or isn't delicious if you get a hamburger from fucking Arby's. Make sure you check out our other show, The Life and Times of I Don't Know Shit, The Life and Times of Psycho Sid. Episode 2 is out now for your reviewing and listening pleasure. And episode 3 will come out this Friday, and we plugged the match between the Skyscrapers and the Ding Dongs before we started putting the show out, and that will indeed take place on this week's episode. So if you want to see Sid and Dan Spivey, particularly Dan Spivey, because Sid don't even think got in the match, whoop the living shit out of the Ding Dongs. They treated their Ding Dongs worse than any man should, that's for sure.
That certainly did.
Check that out.
You don't worry, everything was squashed like they were.
No Ding Dongs have ever been quite squashed like that. Make sure you check out the new episode of AWI Pod Worldwide too. That's out right now. And Glenn, I think that's it, right? I don't have anything else.
No, I don't either. So it's just a goodbye.
Didn't even have to ask for it.